Hello. A bully for Christmas. Tim was a new classmate that joined them in October, way after the term had already started. He was an odd kid, that's what Chris thought, and everybody else as a matter of fact. Tim sat himself at the back of the class, alone, and didn't say much. He wore the same black hoodie, with a hood over his head and a fringe covering his eyes. He didn't do homework and didn't study. When asked why, he always said he didn't have time. In recess, he didn't move. At first, the kids went over to him and asked different questions, trying to get him involved. But he barely replied, and a couple of times, out of the blue, and for no reason at all, he started shouting and told them to leave him alone. He never knew the answers to teachers' questions and didn't seem to care about school. After a while, he started picking on the other kids, punched, kicked, pushed, scratched, and even beat the others. They started to call him the Black Hoodie Bully, and he replied by fighting back. Once he shouted out loud, "I hate everybody. I hate you all." It was a Monday morning when Chris's mum said, "Honey, I can't drive you to school today. You need to catch the bus." "Okay, Mum, no worries," he said. Chris got the bus to school. It was packed. Only one seat available. He sat down. Next to him, a black hoodie looking out the window. It was Tim. "Hi, Tim," Chris elbowed him. Tim turned and gave him a straight, nasty look. He was frowning. He didn't say a thing. Then he looked away. It was only a split second that Chris got to see his face, but he saw the black eye and the bruises on his left cheek. There was a lot of anger in Tim's eyes, but there was also sadness, and perhaps loneliness, Chris thought. Tim got really angry at school that day and beat up a few of the kids in recess. When everybody played ball in PE, he wasn't selected to play and he was left out. He got so angry that he snatched the ball and smashed the classroom window. It was pure rage, and he did it on purpose. Then he ran away, grabbed his school bag, and disappeared. Chris felt really sorry for Tim, and although he didn't understand why, he felt like he wanted to help. So one day after school, he followed Tim home. Tim lived in the slums on the outskirts of the town, in a small derelict house. The overgrown grass in front of the house, the faded paint, and the broken roof gave every hint that the house was abandoned. Chris neared the house. There was total silence. Suddenly, there was a loud voice coming from inside. Someone was shouting in a very angry voice. "You're good for nothing. You're a troublemaker. Once a troublemaker, always a troublemaker. Good for nothing, scumbag. I curse the day you were born." Then Chris could hear something being thrown and smashed against the floors or the walls. A window broke. A baby started crying. Chris glued himself to the wall as he heard the front door opening and someone ran outside. He could peep out from behind the wall for a second, and he saw Tim running out, holding tight what seemed to be a baby. It was only a split second, and it was getting dark, but Chris could see the tears running down Tim's cheeks. A man came storming out the door, trying to follow them, but he stumbled and fell. The bottle of whiskey he was carrying fell on the ground and smashed into 1,000 pieces. The man was obviously drunk. The smell of alcohol spread all over. He had a hard time to stand up, and when he finally did, he slowly went back inside the house, cursing and swearing. Chris got on the bus and went home. He couldn't stop thinking of Tim and the baby. He got home and told his mum everything. He thought Mum would tell him off for following Tim, but she didn't. She was actually very concerned for him. She called the form teacher and told her everything. The next day, he didn't come to school. He didn't come all week. He came a week later, and he was just as distant as he usually was. The school psychologist, a young woman in her early 30s, came into the classroom and asked Tim to go with her into her office. He reluctantly did, and returned about an hour later. Then he simply took his stuff and asked permission to leave. The teacher nodded, and Tim left.